Today we will go over primary sources and evidence-based practice. To start, let's go to the library homepage at maryville.edu/library. Next, we will scroll down to locate the box, which currently says Databases on the left-hand side of the page. For the most part, a database will be a large collection of mostly peer-reviewed journal articles. We can limit the number of databases that we have here at Maryville just by using the drop-down menu that currently says All Subjects. We can limit ourselves to just the 11 nursing databases. And to start our EBP research, we will want to start in CINAHL or Medline, which is pinned at the top. Primary sources in evidence-based practice are original research articles written by the people who perform the research themselves. These articles tend to have very specific characteristics. They tend to have more than one author, will always have a section devoted to methods or methodology, as well as results and conclusions, often represented in a chart or graph. This is in contrast to a secondary source, which is a review or an author writing only about the original research of others. Since we're doing evidence-based practice research, chances are we have a well-developed PICO question. If I were to place all of my PICO aspects into this single search bar, I would not get very good results. CINAHL, unfortunately, does not work the same way Google does. I can select advanced search to do complex searching on multiple topics at once. I can then input my different PICO aspects into these search bars at the top. I can then select this plus button to add in, or the minus button to remove different boxes. Let's say our clinical question is about women with depression, and we want to know if the traditional clinical prescription of antidepressants might work differently than the more recently adapted exercise or physical activity recommendation. Let's get rid of that last box. So again, we have our population, women with depression, and we want to know if the clinical intervention of antidepressants might work better than exercise or physical activity. I'm going to hit search, and I'm presented with a decent number of results, currently 54, of articles that all have to do with my above search terms: women, depression, antidepressants, as well as exercise or physical activity. The first thing I'll want to do is locate the publication date along the left-hand side. You can see it's going back to 1996, and I can backspace those and put in a more appropriate year. In medical research, we usually want to stay within the last 5 to 10 years. So I'm going to update our search results to give us things just from 2008 to present. 2008 to 2018. And that cuts down my search results to 37. Most of my search results will say PDF full text or HTML full text, meaning I have immediate access to them. By chance I do not, it will say request through interlibrary loan. You still have access to this article, and it will be emailed to you in a few days after selecting request through interlibrary loan, creating your account by selecting first-time ILLiad users, click here, and then submitting your article request. Again, most resources will say PDF full text. We should be able to select PDF full text to see more about the article. And right away I can tell I have a primary source. A primary source in medical research will always have a section devoted to methods or methodology. Sometimes this will be listed in the abstract, and sometimes in the paper itself. Again, another tip-off that I have a primary source is the large number of authors. It takes a great deal of time, money, effort, as well as people to do correct and proper medical research. Other things that kind of tip me off that I have a primary resource, again, is the section devoted to methods or methodology, how they recruited their patients or population, how the resources were randomized, and I also have charts and graphs to depict the research process and the conclusions that were made from our sample. Once I find a really great article, make sure you always go to the very bottom to where the research is listed. And you'll have a great number of references that we can now look up. Let's say the antidepressant effects of exercise, a meta-analysis of randomized trials. Since it says a meta-analysis, this is not going to be a primary source. A meta-analysis will be an analysis of things other researchers have researched. However, it might be a great article for me to review and review the reference in it as well. I can go ahead and copy that title, go back to my library homepage, paste my title into that search box in the library homepage, hit search, and then be presented with that article in the database itself. Currently, I'm doing a keyword search, so it did not bring it up right away. I can limit my keyword to just simply title and actually bring up that article, The Antidepressant Effects of Exercise, a meta-analysis of randomized trials. And again, since it's a meta-analysis, it's going to be a secondary source, but secondary sources are full of references to primary sources. So check out the reference page on any secondary source that you come across, and that will help lead you to more primaries. Once again, email me at reference@maryville.edu if you have any more trouble or question doing your research on evidence-based practice. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.